In this video, we'll be talking about using linear equations to write the fraction form of decimals with one repeating decimal. And before I get into the discussion, I just want to give a shout out to my 8th grade math students at Helix Aviation Academy. They did real well with this content right here. So without further ado, let's get started. So we have the number 8/10, and notice the line above the 8. That's called the bar notation. And what that means is the digit 8 is going to continue to repeat. And what we're trying to do with this, we're trying to find the fraction form that'll be equivalent to this decimal. So since we'll be using linear equations, the first thing we want to do is find a variable, and that will represent our decimal, which is 8/10. And do not forget your bar notation over your 8. So now we have the equation x equals 8/10 with the bar notation. Next thing we want to do, we want to multiply both sides of the equal sign by 10, and I'll go further into detail why we're multiplying both sides by 10 later. So 10 times x gives us 10x, and 8/10 with a bar notation times 10 gives us 8 and 8/10. The 8/10 also has a bar notation over it. And what we've just done is use the multiplication property of equality, which means we multiplied the same number on both sides of the equation. Next, we want to use the addition property of equality, and we'll be subtracting x from both sides of the equation. And I know I said addition property, but with this property, that means we can both add or subtract the same number on each side of the equation. So since we can't subtract a variable from a rational number, or an irrational number for that matter, that's why we went ahead and said that x will represent our decimal with the bar notation, which is 8/10. So I'm going to go ahead and substitute the 8/10 where we have x on the right side of the equation. Now I can subtract on both sides, so 10x minus x will give me 9x, and 8 and 8/10 minus 8/10, both 8/10 have bar notations on top of them, will give me the whole number 8. And I told you earlier I will explain why we multiply both sides by 10. And the reason we did that is because once we got to this step, we wanted to be able to get a whole number once we subtract on the right side of the equation. Now we have the equation 9x equals 8. So the last thing I want to do is isolate the coefficient from the variable on the left side. And the way we would do that is by dividing both sides of the equation by the coefficient, which is 9. So the value of x is 8/9, or 8/9, and that is the fraction form of the repeating decimal 8/10. If you found this video helpful, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And I'll see you all in the next video.